The boarding pass had my name spelled right, but the date was wrong. I was 14, standing at gate C17, clutching a blue folder my mother shoved into my hands. I slid the boarding pass out, smoothed the crease, and saw the timestamp. 6:40 a.m., 1 hour before she left the terminal. The gate agent said the word error and pushed it back to me. If I missed that flight, I lost the prepaid ticket and my return ride home. The pass showed a seat number that was never assigned to me. Someone changed it. She left you on purpose, the agent said quietly. I remember the smell first. Burnt coffee and floor cleaner. My sneakers stuck to the tile when I shifted my weight. I checked the big clock above the gate twice. 6:52. People moved around me with rolling bags, bumping my knees, apologizing without stopping. I held the blue folder tighter, like it could anchor me. Inside the folder were 3 things: a folded boarding pass, a handwritten packing list in my mother's slanted script, and a receipt for airport parking, still warm from her dashboard. I slid my thumb along the paper edges, counting breaths the way I always did when she told me to stay calm. She had kissed my forehead by the security rope. Don't move, she said. I'll be right back. Her phone was already in her purse. She did not look back when she walked away. I walked to the counter because the line moved me there. The gate agent had soft eyes and a chipped red nail. She took the boarding pass, scanned it, and frowned. She scanned it again. The machine beeped in a flat, tired way. She turned the screen slightly, shielding it from the crowd, and tapped a number with her nail. I leaned forward and saw my last name on the screen. Below it, a blank space where a seat should be. Is my mom coming back? I asked. My voice sounded smaller than I wanted. The agent glanced past me toward security. I don't see a companion linked, she said. Her tone was careful, like she was setting down glass. I pulled the parking receipt out of the folder and slid it across. She parked, I said. She's here. The agent pressed her lips together and called for a supervisor. A man with a headset came over. He held my boarding pass under the light, turned it sideways, then set it next to a printed manifest. He traced the row with his finger. When he reached the end, he stopped. That seat doesn't exist, he said. The words landed hard. I gripped the metal edge of the counter. My hands felt damp. I checked the clock again. 6:58. I imagined my mother's car pulling up to the gate, imagined her breathless apology, imagined the sound of her shoes. No one came. A woman behind me sighed loudly. A man cleared his throat. Someone asked if the line could move. The supervisor slid the boarding pass back to me. There's a mismatch, he said. Time, routing, seat. I looked at the time printed in bold. 6:40. I had arrived at the airport at 6:35. She had dropped me off with 5 minutes to spare. My stomach flipped. I checked the time again. Then again. I had always checked times twice. It was a habit she teased me about. You need to step aside, the supervisor said. We have to close the door. The public address system crackled. My name was called once. It echoed off the ceiling and stopped. A security officer approached, calm, hands open. If you're not cleared to travel, he said, we need to make arrangements. The agent leaned closer to me. Her voice dropped. Do you have another adult coming? I shook my head. The blue folder bent under my grip. This was supposed to be a simple trip. A visit. A return ticket already paid for. She had said it was a mistake, something small, something she would fix. I stared at the boarding pass, at the clean font and the wrong time, and felt something slide out of place inside me. The agent said the words I did not want to hear. If you stay here, she said, we may have to call child services. I looked down at the crease in the boarding pass. It was sharp, deliberate, like someone had folded it carefully and meant to keep it. I checked the clock one more time. 7:02. She did not come back. I stood there while the door closed and the jet bridge pulled away, holding a piece of paper that suddenly felt like proof of something much bigger than a missed flight. I did not know it yet, but that boarding pass was about to tell a story my mother could never control. The boarding pass said more than she ever did. I folded it once and put it back in the blue folder, just as the supervisor asked security to escort me away. Airport security officer Ruiz didn't grab me. He guided me. His palm hovered near my elbow like a warning sign. He walked me past the gate seating and toward the airline service desk. I kept the blue folder tucked under my arm. My thumb kept worrying the crease in the boarding pass, like I could rub it back into a normal day. A woman with a stroller watched me go by. A businessman in a gray jacket stared straight ahead and pretended not to. I caught my reflection in the glass wall. 14. Ponytail too tight. Backpack straps twisted. Face shiny with sweat. Ruiz stopped at a taped line on the floor. "Stand here," he said, calm and practiced. "Don't wander." I nodded fast, because nodding was easy. My stomach wasn't. A customer service clerk named Lena stepped behind the counter. She slid a clipboard toward the supervisor, Kent, and pointed at my boarding pass like it was a contaminated napkin. I wasn't a person. I was a problem with a barcode. Kent held my boarding pass under the counter light again. He tapped the screen, then the paper, then the screen. His mouth tightened each time the numbers refused to line up. "I need your parent," he said. He didn't say, "your mom." He said, "parent," like it was a legal category. "She's coming back," I said, even as my voice shook. I dug in the folder and pulled out the parking receipt. I slid it across the counter with 2 fingers. It had a time printed in black ink. 6:58, a payment, a lane number. Kent read it, then glanced at Ruiz. Ruiz's eyes flicked to the big wall clock. 7:10. I felt the ground tilt. I had watched my mother walk away before 7. The receipt said she paid after 7. I pulled the folder back to my chest and opened it wider. Behind the packing list, there was a stiff divider with a red folder tab at the top. Someone had written a date on it in neat block letters. I did not recognize the handwriting. March 14. I slid the boarding pass behind that divider without thinking. It felt like hiding a bruise. The desk phone rang and Lena answered. Her eyes darted to me in a way, like she didn't want to catch my panic. Then Kent's phone buzzed on the counter. He set it down, screen up, and a notification popped like a slap. A message preview. My mother's name. I leaned forward before I could stop myself. Kent tilted the phone away, reflexive, but not fast enough. The message read, "She is being difficult. Do not let her on." My throat made a small sound that embarrassed me. Lena looked down at her own hands. Ruiz shifted his stance, suddenly less soft. Kent picked up his phone and scrolled. His thumb moved in short, irritated strokes. Then the screen changed to a social post. My mother's profile picture, smiling, a caption underneath, "Unbelievable. My daughter refused to board and caused a scene." Under that, comments were stacking. Names I didn't know, people with beach photos and dog photos. One said, "Kids today." Another said, "Call security." Lena's phone buzzed too. She glanced, then glanced at me, then held it low, as if the screen could burn her. Kent looked up at me with a face that had already decided. He raised his voice just enough for the line to hear. "She's not cleared to travel," he said. "Call security to remove her." The words hit like cold water. The stroller woman stepped back. The businessman lifted his chin, as if he'd been waiting to watch a punishment. Ruiz's jaw tightened. He didn't move, but his hand opened, ready. I felt heat crawl up my neck. The kind that makes your eyes burn and your mouth go dry. I planted my sneakers on the tile and stared at Kent. My hands were shaking so hard the folder rattled. "Say it once more, on record." My voice came out steadier than my body. The line behind me went quiet in that sharp way crowds do when they sense drama. Kent blinked, surprised I had words at all. Lena's pen paused mid-scratch. Ruiz looked at me like he was trying to decide if I was brave or reckless. "I'm not trying to be difficult," I said. I reached into the folder and pulled out the parking receipt again. I pointed at the printed time with my fingertip. "This says 7:08, I said. "I watched her leave before 7. Kent's mouth pulled sideways, like I'd annoyed him with math. He tapped the counter twice, impatient. "None of this changes your travel status," he said. His tone was control, not care. Ruiz leaned closer to me, lower voice now. "Do you have anyone we can call?" he asked. I swallowed, hard. I pictured my mother's purse, her phone inside, the way she had not looked back. I remembered one number I knew by heart. My Aunt Denise. Lena slid a desk phone toward me, slow and cautious. I wrapped my hand around it like it was a life rope and punched the digits with a trembling finger. Denise answered on the second ring. "Tessa," she said, instantly alarmed. "Why are you calling this early?" "I'm at the airport," I whispered. My eyes stayed on Kent's phone screen, still glowing with my mother's post and the comment that said, "Call security." "She left," I said. "They're saying I'm not cleared." There was a silence on the line that felt like someone opening a drawer. Then Denise's voice sharpened. "Put someone in charge on the phone," she said. Kent tried to wave it off. Denise didn't let him. He took the receiver, listened for 3 seconds, and his face changed. Not softer, tighter. He turned slightly away from me and spoke in a lower tone. "Ma'am, we have procedures," he said. "Yes, I understand your relationship." He paused. His eyes flicked to the blue folder in my arms, then to the divider with the red tab. He hung up and looked at Lena. "Print the case record," he said. Lena's fingers flew over the keyboard. The printer behind her whirred and spat out paper with a harsh, urgent sound. She slid the top page into a clear sleeve and handed it to Kent. I saw one line before he pulled it back. Subject: Release Request Minor Passenger Case 44719. The printer paper smelled hot when Kent handed it over. He did not give it to me. He held it like leverage. I watched his finger pin the top edge. His thumb covered most of the page, but the subject line was still there, bold and ugly. Release Request Minor Passenger Case 44719. My Aunt Denise arrived fast, like she had been waiting. She pushed through the customer service line with her keys clenched in her fist. Her purse strap had slid off one shoulder, and she didn't fix it. She stopped beside me and put her hand on my back. Not soft, not gentle, steady. Kent started talking in the same practiced tone. "Your niece's boarding pass does not match the booking," he said. "We cannot release her to travel." Denise leaned forward and pointed at the parking receipt. "You're telling me this is a mistake," she said, "but the time is wrong." Kent's lips pressed into a flat line. "We have procedures," he repeated, like it could end the conversation. Denise's eyes flicked to me. "Do you still have that folder?" she asked. I slid it out from under my arm and opened it. The red folder tab stared up at us like a little flag. March 14, written in block letters. Not my mother's handwriting. Denise stared at the date for half a second too long. Then, she exhaled through her nose, sharp. "I need a copy of that case record," she said. Kent shook his head, already turning away. Denise didn't raise her voice. She reached into her purse, pulled out a folded piece of paper, and set it on the counter with 2 taps. It looked like a letter, signed and dated. Kent's eyes moved over it, and something in his posture shifted. He picked it up, read one line, then glanced at Ruiz. Ruiz stepped closer to the counter. Not threatening, just present. Kent slid the clear sleeve toward Denise. "Do not photograph other passengers," he said, like that was the danger. Denise didn't care. She pulled a pen from her purse and circled the case number on the page. Case 44719. My eyes kept bouncing to the wall clock. 7:28. 7:28 again. I checked it twice without thinking, the same old habit. Then Denise did something that flipped the air in my chest. She stopped looking at the clock and started looking at Kent. "Where did the release request come from?" she asked. Her voice was calm, but every word had weight. Kent hesitated. Lena's hands froze over the keyboard. "It was submitted through the airline portal," Kent said. He said, "portal," like it was a door no one should touch. Denise leaned in. "By who?" she asked. Kent's eyes flicked toward the line of travelers, then back. "An account tied to the booking," he said. "A guardian." Denise turned her head slowly and looked at me. My stomach sank before she spoke. "Your mother filed this," Denise said. I opened my mouth, but nothing came out. I grabbed the clear sleeve and pulled it closer, paper squeaking against the counter. There were timestamps down the side. One line had a number and a time that punched through me. Release request submitted. 6:12 a.m. I had been in the car with her at 6:12. I remembered the radio. I remembered her hand on the steering wheel. I remembered her telling me to chew gum because airplane breath is gross. My fingers went numb around the sleeve. I checked the line again. Then again. It didn't move. It didn't change. She filed it before we even parked. Denise's face tightened, like she was holding back a swear word. Ruiz shifted his weight, watching me carefully now, like I might bolt. Kent cleared his throat. We can assist you in contacting local child services, he said, smoother now, as if he'd done it 100 times. Denise cut him off with one lifted hand. No, she said. You will assist me with records. Kent blinked. Lena's eyes widened, just slightly. Denise tapped the timestamp with her nail. 6:12, she said. That means this was planned. Ander. I stared at the digits until they blurred. My throat burned. My ears rang. Kent leaned forward and lowered his voice. If there is a custody dispute, ma'am, we cannot. Denise held up the paper she'd placed down earlier. It was a guardianship letter. Her name, my name, a notary seal. I didn't understand it then, but I understood the way Kent stopped arguing. Denise turned to me. Tessa, she said softly, we're leaving this counter right now. 2. I clutched the blue folder to my chest again. The red tab scraped my thumb. The crease in the boarding pass felt sharper, like it had teeth. Ruiz walked with us toward a side seating area. He kept a respectful distance, but his eyes stayed alert. Denise sat me down and knelt in front of me. Look at me, she said. I tried. My breaths came out uneven, like I was running in place. Denise pulled out her phone and started making calls. Not to my mother. Not yet. She asked for an airline records supervisor. She asked for an airport manager. She repeated the case number like it was a key. Case 44719. While she talked, I watched people go by. A man with a paper cup. A woman dragging a pink suitcase. A kid licking a lollipop. Life moving, as if I wasn't splitting open on a plastic chair. Denise ended the call and looked at me again. We're going to request video, she said, time-stamped, not stories. I didn't know what video meant then, but I watched her open a notes app and type. Security camera time request. Terminal drop-off lane. She checked the wall clock once, then she checked it again, just like me. Only now, it wasn't panic. It was purpose. A week later, Denise brought me to her kitchen table. The table had a nick on the corner and a stack of mail held down by a ceramic mug. She placed a manila envelope in front of me and slid it forward with 2 fingers. Don't tear it, she said. Open it clean. End quote. I peeled the flap back slowly. Inside was a compact disc sleeve with a printed label. Terminal drop-off camera lane 358 a.m. My hands shook, but I didn't drop it. Denise set her laptop on the table, plugged in a drive, and clicked a file. The screen filled with grainy footage. Cars pulling up, doors opening, people stepping out. Denise paused the video and pointed with the tip of her pen. There, she said. A woman in a light jacket stepped out of a car. My mother. Her hair pinned back the way she wore it when she wanted to look responsible. She didn't look rushed. She didn't look confused. She leaned into the back seat and handed me the blue folder. Then she shut the door, walked to the trunk, and pulled out a second suitcase I had never seen. My mouth went dry. Denise hit play again. My mother lifted her phone, typed with her thumb, and smiled. Then she turned, waved at someone off camera, and walked away from the terminal, away from security toward the parking shuttle. I leaned closer until my nose almost touched the screen. In the corner, the time code glowed. 8 a.m. Then the camera caught the last detail, crisp as a knife. She wasn't alone. A man stepped into frame beside her, took her suitcase handle, and kissed her cheek like it was normal. And as the clip froze, his face turned toward the camera. The man's face on Denise's laptop made my skin go tight. Not because I knew him, because my mother knew him. Denise paused the clip and rewound 10 seconds. Her finger hovered over the trackpad like she wanted to be sure it was real. "Play it again," I whispered. She played it again. My mother handed me the blue folder, shut the door, lifted her phone, smiled, waved, walked away with a second suitcase. Then the man stepped in like he had a right to be there. He took the suitcase handle out of her hand without asking. Denise looked at me, then at the screen. "Do you recognize him?" she asked. I shook my head hard. My ponytail slapped my neck. Denise paused on his profile and squinted at the time code. 6:58, lane 3, clear as day. She clicked to another angle. A wider view. Same terminal curb. Same timestamp. My mother glanced back at the car once. Not at me. At the folder. Like she was checking I still had it. Denise closed the laptop halfway, like she didn't want me drowning in it. "Okay," she said, voice steady. "We have proof she left." I hugged my knees on the kitchen chair. The ceramic mug on the table had a chip on the rim. Denise slid the clear sleeve from the airline case record beside the laptop. Then she slid the boarding pass out from behind the red tab divider. The crease ran through it like a scar. I watched her smooth it flat with her palm. 6:40, Denise said, tapping the printed time. 6:12, she said, tapping the release request timestamp. 6:58, she said, tapping the video timecode on her notes. 3 times. 3 points. Like she was building a fence. I didn't understand custody papers then, but I understood patterns. Denise opened her purse and pulled out her phone again. She didn't call my mother. Not yet. She called my father. He answered on the 4th ring, breathy like he'd been sleeping. "Tessa?" he said, confused. Denise put him on speaker and set the phone on the table. "This is Denise," she said. "I have video of your wife leaving your daughter." There was a pause so long I heard the refrigerator hum. Then my father said, "What are you talking about?" Denise didn't explain. She acted. She picked up the boarding pass and held it in front of the phone camera. "Look," she said. "Date wrong, time wrong, seat not assigned." Her voice was control, not anger. My father inhaled sharply. "That's a mistake," he said. "She told me the airline messed up." Denise slid the airline case record under the camera. "Release request submitted at 6:12 in the morning," she said, "by a Guardian account." My father's voice turned thin. "You're accusing her of—" Denise cut in. "Clean. I'm telling you what the record says." I stared at my hands. My nails were bitten down. One thumb had a small hangnail that stung. "Put her on," Denise said. A muffled sound. A door closing. Then my mother's voice came through the speaker, bright and annoyed. "What is this?" she asked. "Why are you calling him?" Denise didn't answer that. She opened the laptop again and angled the screen toward the phone camera. "Watch," she said. My mother laughed once, sharp and fake. "I don't know what you think you saw," she said. Denise hit play. My mother appeared on the screen, stepping out of the car, taking the folder, shutting the door. On the speaker, my mother's laugh stopped. Silence. Then, a small inhale. "That's not," she started. Denise paused the clip on the second suitcase. "What is that bag?" she asked. My mother's voice snapped back into place. "My luggage," she said. "I had to go home. There was an emergency." Denise rewound and paused on the man's face. "And who is that?" she asked. My mother didn't answer. I heard something rustle, like she was moving the phone away from her mouth. My father spoke, stunned. "Who is that with you?" My mother exhaled like she was offended by the question. "It's nobody," she said. Denise slid the case record closer to the phone. "Nobody helped you carry your second suitcase," she said. "At 6:58. My mother's tone turned cold. "You're twisting this," she said. She refused to board. She embarrassed me. My stomach dropped at the word embarrassed, like I had been a stain she couldn't wash out. Denise's eyes flicked to me, quick reassurance. Then she looked back at the phone. Your release request was filed before you parked, Denise said. Her voice didn't shake. That is not a mistake. My mother made a sound between a scoff and a swallow. You don't understand, she said. I didn't cry. I reached into the blue folder and pulled out the parking receipt again. I placed it on the table, smoothed it flat, and pointed at the lane number. Lane 3. Denise watched my finger and nodded once. She understood what I was doing. Anchoring it. My mother kept talking, faster now. She's dramatic, she said. She makes things up. She always has. My father went quiet. The kind of quiet that means he was looking at something he didn't want to see. Denise ended the call without warning. She didn't slam the phone down. She set it down gently, like it mattered. Then she turned to me. We're going to do this the right way, she said. She pulled a yellow legal pad from a drawer and wrote one line at the top. March 14. Abandonment evidence. Then she wrote a second line, slower. Family court. I stared at the words like they were a door I didn't know I could open. Denise slid the compact disc sleeve back into the manila envelope. She sealed it with tape and wrote the time code on the front in thick ink. 6:58 a.m. When she lifted her pen, her hand didn't shake. Mine did. Then she said the thing that made the room go colder. Your mother already filed something against you, Denise said. That case number is the start. I looked down at the clear sleeve again. Case 44719. And at the bottom of the page, a line I hadn't noticed before sat in plain sight. Next action. Custody modification packet to be filed Monday. The courthouse hallway smelled like copier toner and old breath mints. Denise and I sat on a hard bench under a sign that said Family Division, and I kept the blue folder on my lap like a shield. People passed in slow waves. A man in a wrinkled suit carrying a plastic grocery bag. A woman in heels that clicked like a warning. A teen boy with red eyes staring at his shoes. Denise had a thin binder open on her knees. The red folder tab stuck out of the top like a tongue. March 14. Block letters. I checked the time on the wall clock twice. 9:12. 9:12 again. Across the hallway, my mother arrived like this was a meeting she could win. Hair smooth, jacket pressed. A new handbag that looked expensive in the way it tried to be quiet. My father walked behind her. His shoulders were rounded, like he'd been carrying a secret too long. My mother saw me and stopped. Her eyes flicked to the blue folder, then away. She leaned toward my father and whispered something. He didn't answer. Denise stood up, keys clenched in her fist again. She didn't walk fast. She walked like she belonged. My mother's mouth tightened when she recognized Denise's posture. You have no right, she said, before anyone said hello. Denise held up a hand, calm. We're not doing a lobby argument, she said. My mother's eyes cut to me. She smiled with only the top half of her face. Tessa, she said, sweet. I told them you got confused. I felt my throat tighten. I opened the blue folder and slid the boarding pass out halfway, just enough to see the printed time. I didn't need to speak. Paper could speak. A court clerk opened a door and called our names. We walked in behind her, into a small courtroom that felt like a classroom with higher stakes. There were a few people sitting in the back row. Not many, but enough to make my skin prickle. The judge sat behind a wooden bench with a nameplate. She adjusted her glasses and looked down at a file. Denise sat beside me and placed the binder on the table. She didn't fling it down. She set it down with both hands, deliberate. My mother sat on the other side. She crossed her legs and rested one manicured hand on her purse like it was a weapon. The judge cleared her throat. This is a petition regarding custody modification, she said, reading, and allegations of abandonment during travel. My mother laughed softly, like the word abandonment was dramatic. It was an airline mistake, she said. The judge lifted her eyes. Ma'am, she said, you will wait until you are addressed. My mother's smile twitched. My father stared at the table. Denise stood. She slid the clear sleeve onto the table and pushed it forward. The judge looked down. Her eyes moved across the page. Case 44719, the judge read aloud. My stomach clenched at hearing it in a room that mattered. Denise flipped to the next page and pointed with a pen. Release request submitted at 6:12 in the morning, she said. My mother's mouth opened. Denise didn't let her fill the air. Denise lifted the boarding pass and held it up. The crease down the center caught the overhead light. Printed departure time, Denise said. 6:40 in the morning. She placed it flat and tapped it once. Then she slid a second sheet forward. A simple printout from the airline record, with a line highlighted. Seat unassigned, the judge read. Her voice was dry, unimpressed. My mother shifted in her chair. That can happen, she said quickly. Sometimes the system. The judge held up one finger. 6:12, she said, looking at the release request. 6:40, she said, glancing at the boarding pass. You filed a release request before the printed departure time. My mother's eyes flashed. I was trying to correct it, she said. She was being difficult. She wouldn't listen. Denise reached into the binder and pulled out the manila envelope. She didn't open it yet. She held it like a promise. My mother's gaze locked on the envelope and her color changed. Not pale. Tight. Denise spoke evenly. We also requested time-coded terminal video, she said. My mother sat up straighter. That video could be anyone, she said. You can't prove. The judge leaned forward. Ma'am, she said, stop talking. Denise opened the envelope carefully and slid out the compact disc sleeve. She did not wave it. She set it down and turned the label toward the judge. Terminal drop-off camera lane 358 A.M. The judge's eyes narrowed slightly at the time. 6:58, she read. My mother's hand tightened on her purse strap. My father finally looked up, and his face looked like a bruise. Denise added one sentence and let it hang. The footage shows her leaving with a second suitcase, she said, and a companion. My mother inhaled too fast. It was small, but the room caught it. The judge looked at my mother and waited. The waiting was louder than yelling. My mother's voice came out sharp. She embarrassed me, she snapped. She always does. She makes scenes. Jeffcon. In the back row. Someone shifted. A quiet little gasp. Not sympathy. Attention. The judge didn't react to the insult. She reacted to the paper. She tapped the case record with her pen. You wrote, "Do not let her on," she said, reading from the message printout Denise had included. My mother's lips pressed together. That was out of context, she said. Denise didn't argue. She just slid one more sheet forward. A docket notice with a bold heading and a scheduled time. The judge read it out loud. Hearing notice filed Monday, she said. Petitioner, mother. My mother stared straight at the judge, trying to stare her into agreement. It didn't work. The judge set the paper down and folded her hands. This is not a mistake, she said, calm and final. This is an intentional release request for a minor passenger. Followed by departure from the terminal. My chest felt hollow. Not relief yet. Something else. Like a door unlatching. My mother's eyes snapped to me. You wanted this, she hissed, not loud, but poisonous. You always want to punish me. Denise's chair scraped as she stood halfway. I touched her sleeve to stop her. I looked at my mother and felt my voice come out steadier than it should. I wanted the truth, I said. The judge's gaze didn't leave my mother. I am ordering a correction to the custody record, she said. Temporary guardianship remains, with the aunt pending review. My father's shoulders sagged like he'd been waiting for permission to stop lying. My mother's face went rigid, like a mask cracking but refusing to fall. The judge added, crisp. And any further public statements blaming the child will be addressed. My mother's mouth opened, then closed. Her eyes flicked to the back row, to the witnesses she hadn't expected. Denise slid the binder closed. The red folder tab disappeared, like a tongue being pulled back in. We stood to leave. My knees felt weak, but I didn't stumble. In the hallway outside, my mother followed us for 3 steps. Her heels clicked, faster now. Tessa, she said, louder, trying to pull eyes to herself again. Tell them you were confused. I stopped under the fluorescent lights and looked at her. The crease in the boarding pass burned in my pocket. Don't, I said, quiet. Denise guided me toward the exit doors. Cold air hit my face like a clean hand. And as we reached the parking lot, Denise's phone buzzed in her palm. She looked at the screen, and her eyes narrowed. It was a new court notice, just posted. Emergency filing, it read, requesting immediate removal of the ant. Denise didn't show me the screen right away. She turned her phone face down on the hood of her car, like she could keep the words contained. The courthouse doors hissed shut behind us. Cold air, exhaust, and that same toner smell clinging to my clothes. I watched Denise's knuckles whiten around her keys. My heart started doing that dumb sprint again, like part 5 never happened. A win can still come with a trap. What is it? Denise lifted the phone again and angled it away from the wind. Her eyes moved left to right, then left to right again. Emergency filing, she said. She wants you pulled from me. I stared at the parking lot lines, like they could tell me what to do. The boarding pass sat in my pocket, crease pressed against my thigh. Denise opened the car door and slid her binder onto the passenger seat. The red folder tab flashed in the gray light. Get in, she said. We're not having a panic in public. Inside the car, the air smelled like peppermint gum and old leather. Denise clicked her seatbelt and started the engine, but she didn't drive. She checked the courthouse clock through the windshield. Then she checked her phone time. 9:41. 9:41 again. That was when I realized the habit had moved from me to her. Not fear anymore. Control. Denise drove straight to her kitchen table. The same nicked corner. The same ceramic mug with the chipped rim. She placed the binder down and opened it like a ritual. The manila envelope stayed sealed this time. No new proof. No new digging. We already have what we need, she said, mostly to herself. She slid a single sheet out and set it in front of me. It wasn't dramatic. It was plain paper with a courthouse header and a judge's signature. It said, in clean language, that the record was corrected, that temporary guardianship stayed with Denise, that my mother's petition was denied until review. I ran my finger along the stamped date. The ink felt raised, like a small bruise on the paper. The judge's signature felt louder than my mother's voice. Denise took a slow breath and watched me read. You're safe, she said. Not because she said so, because it's written. My phone sat on the table, screen dark. I hadn't heard from my mother since the hallway. Denise didn't tell me to call her. She didn't tell me to forgive. She didn't tell me to be the bigger person. She stood, opened a drawer, and took out a small metal box. The kind people keep birth certificates in. The kind that makes papers feel like property. She placed it on the table and slid it toward me. Put the boarding pass in there, she said. I pulled it out of my pocket. The crease was still sharp, still deliberate. I held it above the box and hesitated. A stupid part of me wanted to keep it warm, like it was proof only if I could touch it. Denise waited. Deliberate silence, like a door held open. I folded the boarding pass once, exactly on the old crease. Then I set it inside the metal box and closed the lid. The click sounded like a lock turning. A few days later, the public part caught up. Not a viral clip, not a crowd, just family calls that suddenly came in the right order. My father left a voicemail that was mostly breathing. Then a sentence. I'm sorry I didn't see it. My cousin texted me a screenshot of my mother's old post. It had been deleted. The comments were gone. The lie had no place to sit anymore. I didn't answer my mother's messages. Not because I was punishing her, because I finally understood what she had tried to do at gate C17. She tried to make me disappear, then make it my fault. On a quiet Saturday morning, I sat in Denise's car outside the courthouse. We weren't there for a hearing. We were there to file the last corrected copy into our own hands. I checked the time on the dash twice. 10:06. 10:06 again. Denise handed me the sealed packet and let me carry it. Not because it was heavy. Because it was mine. We walked the hallway outside court together. Shoes squeaking, fluorescent hum, people pretending not to look. At the clerk window, Denise didn't speak for me. She stood behind my shoulder, while I slid the packet forward. The clerk stamped it, handed back the receipt, and called the next name. No speeches, no justice monologue, just a stamp and a date. Outside, I sat in the driver's seat of Denise's car and listened to the engine tick. Sunlight warmed the steering wheel. I opened the glove compartment and saw the metal box tucked inside. I rested my hand on it for a second, then pulled it back. I didn't need to keep checking the time anymore. I had a record that couldn't be argued with.